From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Our top story, one person was taken to the hospital from a car wreck in the downtown area this afternoon.
A passenger car collided with a borough transit bus at about 4:30 p.m. City police and fire units responded to the scene at 10th and Noble Street. Officials said there were 4 people on the borough bus and that one of them was taken from the scene by ambulance. The driver of the car reportedly refused transport to the hospital. City police are investigating the crash.
A Fairbanks man who is in custody for the alleged murder of his wife is facing new charges. 33-year-old Russell Burris was indicted for first-degree murder in the death of 21-year-old Mandy Clemens earlier this year. Today, Burris was arraigned in Fairbanks District Court on new charges, which include violations of probation. According to court documents, prior to the murder, Burris tested positive for the alleged use of methamphetamines. At the time of the murder, Burris was on probation for felonies, including theft. He has been in custody since authorities found his wife dead from gunshot wounds. A trial for his case is scheduled for August.
A Fairbanks woman is in jail after police say she broke into an apartment and claimed to be a social worker and later a state trooper. 48-year-old Dana Sweat was arraigned on charges of burglary, theft, and impersonation. According to court documents, one of the victims woke to find Sweat inside her Jillian Square apartment. She said Sweat claimed to be an OCS officer who had set up a meeting with an Army officer inside of her apartment. Sweat is accused of breaking into another apartment later and stealing a wallet. Now, that victim said Sweat phoned her, claiming to be a state trooper, to verify information inside the stolen wallet. Police say Sweat was involved in a third similar case where she reportedly impersonated a Fairbanks police officer. Sweat's being held without bail at Fairbanks Correctional Center.
The Fairbanks North Star Borough Clerk's Office this week certified petitions to get a question on the municipal election ballot. Voters will decide the issue on air quality regulations at the polls October 6th. State Representative Tammy Wilson of North Pole proposed the ballot measure. It would keep the borough from implementing certain regulations. The latest regulations allow the borough to prohibit burning in high pollution areas and to respond to complaints of excessive smoke coming from a residence or business. Wilson gathered over 2,500 signatures on petitions to get the issue on the ballot.
And making sure that those of us who have registered EPA certified stoves and using dry wood are not thrown under the bus with those who are not burning correctly. And I think there are better ways of speaking to others by helping them out of the situation versus always looking at finding them.
Oil company Shell will be able to move forward on exploratory drilling activities in the Chukchi Sea after receiving government approval yesterday. The U.S. Department of the Interior's Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement green-lighted 2 applications to drill under the conditions that the company only taps into top sections of offshore wells, staying away from oil-bearing zones. Limitations will remain in place until emergency oil spill equipment is available and new requests to drill are filed. Inspectors will also be aboard Shell's 2 Arctic drilling units around 70 miles off the coast of Wainwright. Shell's website says drilling in the Arctic will require balancing economic and environmental challenges, but the Northern Alaska Environmental Center's Jessica Gerard says Alaskan resources may still be at risk.
The coastal communities up in the Arctic use the ocean as their grocery store. They have harvested whales for eons. And so with all this traffic, it not only diverts species elsewhere, it ruins the ecosystem in which they survive. And so that hurts the people that live off of those animals.
Okay, when we come back, the largest parade in Alaska is just around the corner. We'll have the details.
Also, we continue our segment on how to grow and raise peonies in this week's edition of Gardening Tips. Those stories and more when we come back.
And welcome back. The largest parade in Alaska is just around the corner. The Golden Days Grand Parade remains as a highlighted event in one of the Golden Heart City's longest-standing festivals of 64 years. The annual tradition is set to begin at 10 a.m. Saturday at the Carlson Center. From there, participants will parade through 2nd Avenue, turn onto Noble Street, and finish at Airport Way. Among all the clowns, antique cars, and bands, attendees can gander at nearly 70 floats this year, each representing local businesses and organizations. The parade is followed by the release of the ducks for the rubber ducky race, and Greater Fairbanks Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Lisa Herbert says they are nearly sold out and might not have enough left to sell during the parade. She says downtown will be alive this weekend with plenty of activities to keep everyone entertained.
Golden Heart Plaza and First Avenue will be alive with food and retail and just fun for the whole family. We have brought back the entertainment stage this year, so from 12 to 5 we'll have activities taking place there. In the courthouse parking lot, you'll find a jam-packed parking lot full of the Golden Heart Utility Old Time Games, which is a huge tradition for Fairbanks. The Army National Guard will be there with a jousting arena for kids that are 16 and older. You know, it's just great to celebrate our Gold Rush history.
Golden Wheel Amusements opened its doors early to the Summer Spectacular Carnival for a few VIP guests. Reporter Ryan Grimes enjoyed his time there, but he didn't leave his camera behind. He had the opportunity to ride an attraction called the Rave, which has never been available in Alaska until now.
I'm on something called the Rave. I'm kind of scared right now. Before I stepped onto the purple and green behemoth, Golden Wheel spokesman Chase Eckert told me all about the Summer Spectacular's newest attraction.
It was showing down in Houston. A friend of ours owned it, and we said we had to have it. Exclusive to Alaska. It's kind of the Gravitron, and it's kind of nothing like you've ever been on before. It spins you around, sticks to the walls, and drops the floor out from underneath of you.
The ride itself was phenomenal to be on. I'm glad you didn't throw up on me. Thank you. So yeah, that was the Rave. I might just go again. Eckert says carnival doors are open to the public today and will be open daily from noon to 10 p.m. before finally closing on August 2nd. Eckert adds that there are plenty of things to do at the carnival other than riding Golden Wheel attractions.
We've got our acrobats, we've got our magician for the kids. We have Bubba Bear and the Badland Bears, the animatronic bear show. All of that is free.
What haven't we done? We played several of the games. We shot the guns a couple times. We watched the jugglers. We've been on a couple rides. It's fun.
Mihai Mikavetsky is enjoying his time at the carnival with his friends, but he's also here for business. He's the owner of the Crepe Boutique. He says getting the chance to vent at the Summer Spectacular was simple and easy compared to setup at other events.
We actually are new to Fairbanks in general. People was very nice. They provide us electricity, which is, perfect. We don't have to run the generator. We got a pretty decent spot, like you can see. We are very happy.
Eckert says that tickets for one-day access at the carnival are $3 each. The Summer Spectacular is located at the George Horner Ice Park on 3070 Phillips Field Road. This is Ryan Grimes reporting.
Now it's time for gardening tips. Tonight we continue our segment on how to grow and raise peonies.
Hi, welcome back to Gardening Tips. We're here again at the Georgeson Botanical Garden to talk a little bit more about peonies. Today I'd like to share with you some of the different types of peonies and also give some tips on how to cut them to take them into your house and enjoy the blossoms inside. So the peonies come in several different flower types, and that's the biggest thing that we look at when we're trying to figure out what's a good peony to grow that we're going to do for commercial harvest and sale, and which ones are really great to grow in your garden. There's also a type called a Japanese, and the Japanese type has 1 or 2 layers of petals around the outside. They're equally beautiful, and the stems are able to hold the flower upright. So I'd like to share with you how myself as a commercial grower, what am I looking for when I'm going to cut a blossom and bring it inside, and how do I make them last as long as I possibly can in a bouquet in my house. So I'm looking for a bud that is soft but not really super soft. So if I could describe it, it would be a stale marshmallow. If you were to take a stale marshmallow and squish it, that's what you're looking for in a bud that you're going to cut to bring into your house. The first thing you do with that bud after you cut it is put it in some water and put it in your refrigerator overnight. For some reason, cooling the bud helps it survive longer when you put it out in a bouquet on your table. If you were to do that, you could expect a peony blossom to open up within 2 days and when you bring it out of the refrigerator and last for up to 15 days in a bouquet.
Thank you, Jan, for joining us the past 2 weeks talking about peonies. I hope the audience will join us next week when I talk about an important garden chore, deadheading your flowers.
Gardening Tips, brought to you by Fairbanks Stump Grinders and by Midnight Sun Family Medicine.
All right, Joe Cook is up next, and he has some footage from the first day of the City Golf Championship.
Also, he'll have some racing action, and are you ready for some football?
I'll find out about that and more after the break.
Welcome back, Interior Sports fans. Before the weekend can officially start, we have the Friday Sportscast. Who is the best in the city? We'll find out in about 72 hours. Today was opening day of the Fairbanks Golf Association's Amateur Championship. The first round got started this morning at the Fairbanks Golf Course. All the golfers are competing for some nice hardware for the FGA City Championship in 5 flights this weekend. Doug Avera gets a nice birdie shot on hole number 2, a par 3, 152-yard hole. He played alongside Kathy Shuttleworth, who's coming off a 3rd place showing at the Senior State Amateur last weekend. We get chippy at the par 5 opening hole with the Scotty Berg and Bill Beach group. Some nice shots on the green from this foursome of golfers. Second round of the City Championship will be at the North Star Golf Course, and the final round will be at the Chena Bend Golf Course on Sunday. Close, but yet so far. The Alaska Gold Panthers had a tight game with the Mat-Su Miners on Thursday night. It was the final game of their 3-game series, and the Gold Panthers didn't want to get swept. Game tied 1-1 in the 5th inning, and Chris Hall had the biggest hit of the game for Mat-Su after his hit to right field. Hall turns on the burners. It gets a 2-run inside the park home run to give Mat-Su a 3-1 lead. Alaska answered in the 6th inning with Austin O'Bannon, and oh boy, this is his first home run of the summer and only his 3rd game with the Panthers. The big swing makes it a 1-run game going all the way to the Fairbanks Curling Club there. But the Miners, they brought their brooms. Zach Warren, a Tennessee volunteer, tossed 6 Ks and gave up just 2 earned in 6 innings of work. And Mat-Su, they hold on for a 3-2 win. They get the series and season sweep of the Gold Panthers. Alaska will host the Shugiak Chinooks for a 2-game series starting tonight to close out their home schedule for the summer. And one of the more important nights of racing came Thursday at the North Pole Speedway as they support a good cause. Drivers, crews, and fans were decked out with pink for BCDC Night, sponsored by Stanley Nissan. The Speedway held an auction and raised $1,000. Fans also saw some good racing. Delaney Ott continues her tear in the quarter midgets class, winning the main event by a hair. And Rob Todd got another main checkered in the lawnmower races. Shylin Anaker, the Bandos class points leader in the 51 car, earned a 3-race sweep, holding off Stephen Hunter and Justin Sammons on the final laps of the main event. Despite a few cautions, Ryan Cody in the 89, he comes away with the main event victory in the Legends class after battling with Lance Mackey and John Beck. The GFRA mini bombers were also at the track last night. The rookie of the night was Samantha Lewis. On her first night at the Speedway, Lewis came out in the pink and green 30 and won all 3 races in the mini bomber class.
Definitely had a good time just because, I won. It was a different experience, and I'll definitely want to come back. But I'm going to continue trying to do the dirt one too. So as long as they'll have me out here, I'll keep coming back.
No more yellows, please, please, please. Just let me race. Let me race. And of course there's more. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get a championship this year.
Oh, it's definitely a good experience and a great cause, and raise some money towards the charity and definitely help them out. We all signed the flags and the quilt. It's a good cause. I'm glad to be part of it.
And the Friday night lights will be back on in the interior in just a few weeks. High school football starts in 3 weeks. Area teams will be holding sign-ups and handing out equipment in the next few days. Preseason camps and practices are starting up next week. The first day teams can practice will be next Wednesday, July 29th. You can get your first look at teams on Saturday, August 8th for the Interior Jamboree. The 2015 season kicks off on Friday, August 15th, with the defending small school champion Allison Ravens hosting Thunder Mountain. Saturday, August 16th, the West Valley Wolfpack will host a large schools state runner-up, the West Anchorage Eagles. We'll have more of the opening weekend of football and team previews as the season approaches. For the full 2015 high school football schedule, check out the sports page on webson11.com. August is almost here, but the last weekend of July brings a number of nice sports events. Saturday morning at 9:50 a.m. will be the Alyeska Golden Mile Run. The race is 1 mile and is a fundraiser for the Literacy Council and starts at the Aurora Energy Power Plant. The 22nd Sourdough Triathlon starts tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at the 30.5 mile post on the Steese Highway. This is a half Ironman triathlon, a 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike, and a 13.1-mile run. The Alaska Gold Panthers' last home game of the summer is Saturday at 2 p.m. Check them out as they take on the Shugiak Chinooks. Then on Sunday, it's the 50th Gold Discovery Run. The 16.5-mile race starts at 8 and 9 a.m. from Clearly Summit. The finish is at Silver Gulch Brewery in Fox. The run is dedicated to Jim Madonna, who passed away in March. And that's it for sports tonight. Your full weather forecast is next after the break, and we'll catch you next time.
And welcome back to the weather block on this Friday newscast. As you can see, our current conditions up there on our almanac. 73, that is the recent high. Recent low overnight, 52 degrees. Record high set in 1968, 89 degrees. Record low at 35, just 3 degrees above freezing in 1917. Sunrise was at 4:24 and sunset 11:30 p.m., giving us 19 hours, 6 minutes of daylight. East winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. Barometer holding steady at 29.73. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Alaskan satellite, and things are slowly but surely dissipating as far as the storm system. As you can see, there's just splotchiness of areas of moisture, but for the weekend, it's looking like it'll dry out a little bit more. Here, we'll get into more detail about conditions around the state, as you can see. Oh, a tie for Fort Yukon and Fairbanks, 75 degrees projected. Now, we just said 73 was our current high. Anchorage 73 as well. Juneau and Ketchikan still wet, 64, 56 degrees. And on the west coast, things are drying out nicely. 50 degrees for Nome, 58 for Bethel, and believe it or not, Cold Bay even in the 50s as well. Let's go ahead and take a look down the lower 48 and see what we can see for the weekend. As you can see, storm system still affecting the Gulf Coast areas and thunderstorms all over Florida. But going back to the northwest, there's a storm system hovering over the northwest area as well, affecting Washington as well as Oregon. But other than that, pretty nice throughout the rest of the state, as you can see in the our state, the nation. 89 degrees for Denver, a little cool for them this time of year. But you know, I never focus on the East Coast. Let's go ahead and give mad props to New York, 85 degrees, and DC right below them, 90 degrees, looking fairly good for them. As you can see, not much action, just circular patterns, but it's not really going to cause or create much in the way of storm systems. Maybe here or there, just regionally affecting with showers. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the tranquil Saturday. Yes, as you can see, summer heat really affecting the southern states, isolated thunderstorms to the east of that, but other than that, on the west coast, nice and pleasant. Okay, the forecast for next week. Now we start to see some action, especially in the Minnesota area where we'll see some severe storms. But other than that, just PM thunderstorms and spotty thunderstorms over the plains into the northeast part of the country. Okay, let's go ahead and focus back on Alaska. Up north, Barrow, 41 degrees, Nome, 56, and some moisture tomorrow. Fort Yukon as well, 73 degrees. As for us here in the interior, well, a little bit, maybe more the same, just isolated showers and thunderstorms. Doesn't mean there's going to be any where you live, but it's just going to be isolated. That's what we're going to call it good. Healy, 68 degrees, same forecast, and Delta as well, 71 degrees forecasted. And the Panhandle, more wetness continues. This time they're going to be dealing with thunderstorms in Ketchikan, Juneau, 64 degrees and wet. In the southwest part of the state, Bethel, also wet, 56 degrees, Cold Bay as well. But the only clear spot, really, Kodiak is 64. Okay, south central, here we go. More storms affecting Anchorage and Homer, 62 degrees, 67. And Valdez taking a break, partly cloudy for them, 69 degrees. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and take a look at the short-range forecast overnight. 58 degrees projected low, scattered high clouds, and some haze possible, especially with this smoke. There is a air advisory out and about right now. That's going to last through tomorrow. It's considered poor air quality right now. Tomorrow, 74 degrees, partly cloudy with isolated PM showers. Now, that may help to get the smokiness out of the way, but then again, if we have some thunder strikes, it might just cause another wildfire. Let's hope it doesn't. And then our projected outlook, well, it is going to get wet by Sunday and Monday through Tuesday and Wednesday, not clearing out through pretty much Thursday of next week, but temperatures slowly cooling as that storm system comes in and gets us all drenched.
I
Mike,
thought we were
back.
smooth sailing for a while.
Mike, come back.
Okay,
He'll be back. He'll be back. I think you did find it.
Yeah, I think I did too. So we'll just not even worry about that.
Mike's trying to win a golf championship.
That's right. He's trying to.
He said he's fourth so far.
All right.
Good job, Mike Schultz.
Schultz.
Hopefully no rain for Mike. Wouldn't that be ironic? I think so. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Fbx Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt is coming up next.
And you can join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at website11.com.
Okay, from all of us here at the News Center, have a great night.